Hi guys, welcome to the channel Learn Concepts with Nikil, Discover, Learn and Grow. So this is the sixth lecture. In this lecture, in this video, we'll be learning about the Pareto principle in management consulting. Pareto principle is one of the major and important concept of management consulting. Not only Pareto principle, but there are numerous and many number of important concepts which management consultancy use in day-to-day life. We will be learning about all those important concepts of management consulting from this video. It's around like 9 to 10 concepts, I think. So we will be learning each and every concept in detail along with some case studies too, right? So yeah, we will be learning case studies of each and every concept too. So yeah, let's jump into the video. So what is Pareto principle? Pareto principle is nothing but it is also called as 80-20 rule. To say simply, 20% of your efforts cause 80% of the results. To say simply, for example, let's take cricket only. Like India is bad. India is playing with Pakistan. Let's assume India is playing with the Pakistan, right? But all batsmen won't score 300 or 400. Only some batsmen like Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, or Shubman Gill, KL Rahul, they will be scoring like centuries, like 200 to 250 runs. They will be scoring centuries and they will be contributing to the score. Like 80% of the score is beaten by only 20% of batsmen, right? Only Virat Kohli scores century, Rohit Sharma scores half century, as well as KL Rahul scores like 30, 40 runs, and total score is around 280, 290. Let's assume total score is 280, 290 of India. But only the three batsmen, like Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, and KL Rahul, has contributed 80% of the runs. So 20% of the batsmen has generated 80% of the runs of the total score. That is nothing but Pareto principle. 20% of the efforts cause 80% of the results. So let's see the definition, formal definition to the Pareto principle, also known as 80-20 rule. As I said, you states that 80% of the outcomes, that is nothing but 80% of the runs, result from 20% of the causes. That is nothing but 80% of the runs are coming from 20% of the batsmen, right? This is just an example, guys. We will be learning some more examples too, some more real world examples. I am a fan of cricket. I am fan of Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, and KL Rahul. So that is the reason why I have taken some cricketing example. But we will see some real time examples too in the next slides. So it was introduced by Wilfredo Pareto. So this concept is named on the name of Pareto only, an Italian economist in 1896. In 1896, when he discovered that 80% of the Italy's land has been owned by 20% of the population. This is one of the example, guys. For example, 80% of the Indian economy has been Indian economy or Indian wealth. 80% of the Indian wealth will be there with only 20% of people like Ambani, Adani, and some more millions. And 20% of the Indian wealth is there with the 80% of the Indian population, like middle class people and all. So I hope it is clear for you. I'll repeat again. 80% of the India's wealth is there with 20% of the people, like influential people like Ambani, Adani, and all those. So now you got it, I think so. I hope I made it easy for you. Over the time, this principle has been applied to various fields. So this principle has been applied to various fields so that they can optimize the things, right? Optimize the things. They can increase. They can keep their efforts and resources and energy only on particular 20% of things. Karke. So over the time, this principle has been evolved and applied to various fields, including business, economics, time management, and management consulting. As simple as that. As a way to maximize efficiency and effectiveness. As I said, you they will be in these fields. Not only in these fields, it has been applying to various fields too, like to improve efficiency, to improve effectiveness, to reduce costs, to reduce what you can say, to minimize our efforts, energy, resources, to increase profits and all those things, right? Yeah. Mathematical representation of Pareto principle. 80% of the results come from 20% of efforts. As I said, let's take cricket example only again. 80% of the runs are coming from 20% of efforts of Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, as well as KL Rahul, and all these cricketers, right? 80% of the revenue comes from 20% of the customers. Let's take Apple example only. 80% of the revenue for Apple. Like Apple company has different products, right? It has iPods, it has iPads, it has laptops, it has an OTT too, I think so. Apple TV karke. It has an OTT too. It has iPhones too, right? But 80% of the revenue of Apple comes from 20% of the customers who buy iPhones. So we can what you can say, we can take the example of Apple too in this way. Apple or iPhones in this way. 80% of the problems stem from 20% of the causes. For example, I cannot find the example, but yeah, 80% of the problems stem from 20% of the causes. For example, yeah, let's take again cricket example only. 20% of the bowlers give 80% of the runs. Sorry, but yeah, 20% of the bowlers, like for example, in a cricket team, there will be 4 to 5 bowlers, right? Uh, with all rounder, 4 to 5 bowlers, mixing like combining with the all rounder, there will be 4 to 5 bowlers, but only one or two bowlers, only one bowler will be considering more and more runs. Like batsman will be targeting only the one bowler, right? So that one bowler, that is nothing but 20% of the bowler is giving 80% of the runs. Karke. So I know it's a vague example, it's a worst example, but yeah, you can understand, right? 20% of the causes or issues can create 80% of the problems. Karke. So let's see the definition again. The number 80-20 are not always exact, as I said you before, but serves as a guideline, general guideline to highlight imbalance and concentration in various situations. So it acts as a guideline. 80-20 number acts as a guideline, but it is not exact. Sometimes it can be 70-30, sometimes it can be 60-40, not 60-40, but it can be 70-30, 75-25, and all these things, right? Small portion, a small portion of efforts result in large portion of outcomes. As simple as that, right? So next, what are the different? Sorry. So what are the different types of not types? What are the different names of Pareto principle? Let's see in this slide. The Pareto principle is known by several names depending on depending on the context in which it is used. So it has many names, guys. First one is the 80-20 rule. We have learned, right, in the last slide. The most common name emphasizing the 80-20 distribution. The second name is law of vital view. So we will be calling as law of vital view too for the Pareto principle. It is one of the other name of Pareto principle, highlighting the idea that a small number of factors drive the majority of results. As simple as that. Principle of a factor sparsity. We will be calling it as principle of factor sparsity to used in quality control and statistics to describe the unequal distribution of cases, causes and efforts. See, there is an unequal distribution, right? 80-20, 35, 35, 65, and all these things. So unequal distribution ke liye we will be using like principle of factor sparsity to say unequal distribution. There is an unequal distribution करके unequal distribution of causes and effects, efforts and results करके. Pareto principle, the principle is named on the name of Pareto only, not Pareto only, na. So that is the reason why it is also called as Pareto principle. Pareto law. Pareto law is simplified term in management and consulting. So 1 minute, guys. My charging again has been completed. I will be keeping the charging. So in this particular slide, we will be learning about a real life examples of a Pareto principle, that is nothing but 80-20 rule. In the previous slide, we have learned about different names, right? Different names of Pareto principle. Now we will be learning about real life use cases, real life examples of Pareto principle. First is clothing. You wear 20% of your clothes 80% of the time. I don't know about girls. But yeah, boys will be wearing 20% of the clothes, even though they have many clothes in their almara, in their what you can say, in their suitcases and all. They will be wearing only 20% of the clothes always, 80% of the time. For example, my friend, right? Let's take my friend as an example. His name is Aditya. So he has उन्होंने क्या किया, like what he did is he wear the same dress in his marriage. He wear the same dress again in the friend's marriage. He wore the same dress again in another friend marriage. Even in my marriage, I'm 100% sure ki he will be. I'm not married, guys. I'm not married. I'm saying. So even if I marry in future, I'm 100% sure that he will be wearing the same dress. So boys, I don't know about girls, and I'm sorry if anybody got offended. But yeah, so you wear 20% of your clothes 80% of the time, right? Next is phone apps. You use 20% of your apps, phone apps for 80% of your screen time, right? Let's take my example only. My app contains around 20 to 30 apps. My phone contains around 20 to 30 apps. Excuse me, guys. Sorry. So my phone contains around 20 to 30 apps, but I will be using majorly Instagram, WhatsApp, and sometimes Facebook, and sometimes some trading apps like Angel Broker, Grow, and all. So I'll be using only these 3 to 4 apps most of the time. Even though my phone contains like 20 to 30%, 20 to 30 apps, 20 to 30 apps, I'll be using only 20% of the apps. That is nothing but 3 to 4 apps only. I'll be using most of the time instead of using all the apps. So you use only 20% of your apps for 80% of your screen time, right? So work productivity, 20% of your tasks produce 80% of your results. For example, let's take workout only. In the morning, you will be doing 1 hour of workout, and in the evening, you will be doing 1 hour of workout. This 20 to 25% of these tasks can improve our health by 80%. As simple as that, right? Next, sales. 20% of customers generate 80% of the revenue for a business. Again, you can take Apple example, right? 80% of the revenue for the Apple is coming from the 20% of customers who buy iPhones. Traffic, 80% of traffic jams happen on 20% of roads, right? So yeah, on the there are many roads, guys, many roads. There will be many roads in the city, but only 20% of the roads will be having 80% of the traffic. You can say they are signals and all these things. Crime, 80% of the crimes are committed by 20% of the criminals. Okay, I'll not comment on this. My team has kept this point, but I'll I'll not comment on this. So next to social media, you interact with 20% of your contacts, 80% of the time, 80% of the time. It's true, guys. Why? Because even though if I use Instagram, I will be sending reels only to 3 or 4 friends or 4 or 5 friends. So my what you can say, my friend list is around 200 to 300 members, but I will be sending reels or some messages only to some members, like 4 to 5 best friends. So this 20% of contacts, I'll be chatting or I'll be talking with this 20% of contacts for 80% of the time and all. Movie industry, 20% of movies make 80% of the total box office revenue. As simple as that. Let's take Telugu industry only. Why? Because I am from Telugu industry. Telugu, right? I am a filmmaker. If you don't know, please know. I am a filmmaker too. So I am from Telugu industry. Let's suppose take Telugu as per statistics, right? As per the 2024 statistics, every year 200 to 300 movies are releasing alone in Telugu industry, but all are not becoming hit or all are not becoming blockbuster. Only 30 to 40 to max 50 films are becoming hit in the total year. Even 50 films, I won't I don't know, 50 films are becoming hit, but at least 30 to 40 films are getting hit out of 200 to 300 movies, right? So basically, this 20 to 30% of movies this 20 to 30% of movies are making 80% of total box office revenues, right? Other 80% of the movies are making only 20% of box office revenues. As simple as that. Why? Because other movies are becoming flop and people are not watching, and due to publicity also people are not watching. This 20% of movies spend more on publicity. That is the reason why people will be generating more revenue for this 20% of movies. So customer complaints, 80% of the complaints come from 20% of customers. As simple as that. Learning, 20% of what you study helps you solve 80% of exam questions. So for example, next day exam we will be doing one day batting previous night, right? So we will be focusing on 20% of the 20% of the questions and the important answers, where those 20% will be getting 80% of the marks. Okay. So yeah, this principle helps focus on what matters most in any situation. As simple as that. Next is sorry guys, 1 minute. Yeah. Next is why management consultancy use Pareto principle, right? So why management consultants? We have learned about management consulting. Sorry, we have learned about Pareto principle in the previous slides. Now let's see why management consultants will be using Pareto principle, right? So management consultants deal with complex business challenges. As I said you before, they will be dealing with complex business problems, complex business challenges, and they will be providing the tailored solutions according to the problems as well as according to the challenges. So management consultants deal with complex business challenges that require quick and efficient decision making. So as I said, you management consultants will be working on a project in a short term, like for 2 to 3 months or sometimes weeks. So they need to do quick and efficient decision making. They should not only do quick decision making as well as it should be efficient and effective to solve the business problem or to solve the business challenge. So, in this case, in this situation, in this type of environment, in this type of circumstances, management consulting or management consultants will be using Pareto principle to make quick as well as efficient and effective decision making so that it can solve the business problem or business challenge. So, what is the first use of Pareto principle in management consulting? Let's see. First is they will be prioritizing problems and solutions, right? So instead of focusing on 100% of problems, every minor problem, they'll be focusing on only 20% of the problems which are causing 80% of inefficiencies, which are causing 80% of results, outcomes, right? So yeah, let's see the definition. Let's see what it is. Consultants analyze data and identify 20% of the problems. So they will not be, what you can say, they will be not focusing on every minor problem. They will be not finding solution for every minor problem. They will be focusing on 20% of, they will be analyzing only the 20% of problems from the data, which is causing 80% of inefficiencies, 80% of results, 80% of problems, right, 80% of issues, and then they will be doing some strategies. This helps them to focus on most critical issues first. So they'll be focusing on this 20% of issues only, which is causing 80% of inefficiencies or problems to the organization or business. Next, optimize resource allocation. For example, they have identified this 20% of issues which are causing 80% of problems, right? After identifying this 20% of issues, now they can concentrate more on this 20% only. They can allocate the resources, they can allocate their energy, they can keep their efforts only on this 20% of the only this 20% of issues, right? They can allocate their resources, energy, as well as they can allocate their efforts for this most critical 20% of issues which are causing 80% of problems. So if they concentrate, if they allocate resources and efforts on this 20% of critical issues, critical factors, and if they eradicate these 20% of issues, then business will be automatically growing, right? Right? It will be effective. It will be becoming effective after eradicating this 20% of issues. See, 80% of problems are solved. So that is nothing but optimized resource allocation. They will be focusing. They will be giving their energy. They will be giving their energy and they will be allocating their resources only on this particular 20%. 20% matlab a small portion. Sometimes maybe 20%, 25%, 30%. But imagine it, assume it's a small portion, right? Small portion, they will be concentrating more on the small portion of issues. Next, improve operational efficiency. Operational efficiency is nothing but similar to second point only. If we concentrate more on this 20%, 80% of the problems will be solved, right? So automatically our business operational efficiency will be increasing. Business will be growing. So that's the point. That's the catch. So consultants use the principle to stream workflows, ensuring that efforts are focused on a high impact activities. As I said, you efforts are focused. Resources, energy is focused on high impact activities. That is nothing but critical activities, and with like 80% are unnecessary tasks. Right, unnecessary tasks, manatu, they are also necessary, but not as critical as this 20 to 30% of tasks. Enhance decision making. So, management consultants will be using Pareto principle in order to do a decision making also. Why? Because they will be getting to know, right? They after analyzing the data, they will be getting to know what are the 20% karka. So it enhances the decision making of management consultants, and they can provide some strategies and tailored solutions to the business problems or challenges. Instead of solving every minor issue, as I said you before, they will be not solving every minor issue, but they will be analyzing, and they will be finding, identifying, and they will be finding the most important critical issues which are causing 80% of problems. Consultants focus on key areas that will drive maximum business transformation. Yeah, as I said you before, they by concentrating on this 20%, 80% of the problems or 80% of the issues may be solved. It will be improving operational efficiency. If efficiency has improved, then it will be automatically driving. It is automatically proportional. It is directly proportional to driving maximum business transformation, right? So this is about Pareto principle, guys. This lecture is about Pareto principle. In the next lecture, we will be learning some case studies of Pareto principle. In this video, we have learned about some theoretically and some examples, right? In the next video, we'll be learning some practical case studies so that you can understand better. I will be taking one or two examples, one or two case studies, and I'll be explaining you Pareto principle with the help of those case studies. So bye, guys.